So during Tim's amazing career, he had the opportunity to work with so many different vocalists, songwriters, and he loved a really good voice and he loved a really good songwriter. And I know that he loved this next person I'm going to speak to. Um, there are so many people waiting for me to talk to him, so I reached out and he said he would be here to pay tribute to Tim. This is Sandro Cavazza.
Hey man,
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
So glad that you could join in this tribute
Oh, am I,
to
man?
Tim. I mean, what an amazing human being and artist, and that we had the pleasure of working with and creating art to share with the world.
Yeah.
Um, I've heard stories about how you guys met, but before that, you coming from Sweden obviously would have known about Avicii before, probably the rest of the world, I'm assuming, but also, did you know about Tim Berg? What were you familiar with? When was the first time you heard anything from Tim Bergling or Avicii?
Uh, well, I would say Levels was the first thing. Like everyone was dancing to it everywhere in Sweden. It was
Yeah,
just took off, and then I think it just moved forward from there. Like the amazing music that you guys did together. That was obviously like the biggest. The break point, I think, maybe
it's
because
huge.
Level was, I don't know if Level started out being just without even a voice on it, right? I
Right.
think it was just that, like, the melody, and people went absolutely
And
crazy.
were you familiar with that? You heard that at
Yeah, yeah.
places?
I mean, everyone in Sweden, but I was like, I don't know, I was 16, maybe 17 when that really took off. So
Yeah,
everyone was just dancing, going crazy in Sweden over that song.
that's dope. It's dope to know that he was playing it out without the vocal from Etta James, and
Yeah.
then eventually added it in. Oh wow! So you obviously were able to become a fan, at that point with pretty close proximity to. I mean, how I don't know exactly where Tim would have grown up in Sweden, if it was in Stockholm proper or a little bit outside. Like,
I was in Stockholm, proper.
and you?
I was a little bit outside. I was like the suburbs, kind of like I guess Pasadena would be to LA.
Right.
Although, like I would
Yeah,
say
yeah.
Stockholm is much more dense, so it wasn't like that far to the city center. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's kind of how it was. So we came from kind of different backgrounds, I would say. Like he was in the midst of everything that was happening. Like Swedish House Mafia people. He
Sure.
went to school with the same school as Sebastian from Swedish House Mafia. If I'm not
Is
100%
that
off.
like was it a special kind of school, or was it just like regular high school, or
I think it was just regular, man. I,
yeah,
I think I think it was just like just for some reason it just came out like Alesso also was. I think he was at least in the same group of people as Swedish House Mafia, and they all knew of each other from what I've understood, and I think it was just really just a creative spot.
yeah, you
For
hear stories like that, like people who all were, I guess, building their skill and their talent at the same time, and then they all blow up, and they're coming from the same schools or the same neighborhoods.
Mm.
So interesting. You ended up not really meeting Avicii until I think you came to Los Angeles, right?
Oh, it was actually after LA, man. I was
Really?
Yeah, because I was really just like I was playing. I went with. I had a lot of dreams of being a songwriter, so I went to.
So wait, just dreams of being a songwriter? Like, what
Yeah.
about like a singer, like a star on stage
Well,
performing?
as a singer, I think the singing came with the songwriting for me. Like Tim eventually picked up a song that I wrote in around a kitchen table. Uh, like I was just like I wrote "Gonna Love Ya" around a kitchen table with my
Yeah.
friend, and then we sent it off, and then through his management at the time, Tim heard it, and then like decided to go with it, and yeah, it was like it was just a coincidence really that he that he picked it up.
And so you had obviously demo your own songwriting,
Yeah,
and he decided to keep the same vocalist.
yeah,
So
and
that's a special thing because Tim, this is
yeah,
after Levels, this is after Wake Me Up,
yeah,
right? This is when he could have any artist in the world
yeah,
to sing the song,
yeah.
but he found magic in your instrument.
Mm. And I think that's what made Tim so special, and also why I owe a lot of things to Tim,
For sure. Me
like in
too.
my career, in my life, and everything. Not only for our friendship, but also like, of course, like work wise, and some of the music that we made together is to this day some of the best songs that I've ever written.
Oh my goodness. I mean, like, I can honestly say, like, "Wake Me Up" is definitely one of the best songs that I've ever written, and
It's magic, man.
it actually I thank you so much, but it actually did what you expect a good song that you write to do in the world. It,
Yeah.
exceeded my expectations.
Oh,
And so for you,
that
like,
must have
with
been wild, man. Like that must have been such a crazy, just that the takeoff of that. It must have been like,
it's epic, it still is, though, because it's one of those songs that everybody knows and remembers where they were
yeah,
when they first heard it or something like that. And so I'm just happy to have had that experience, but, like, for you, let's say, like, with a song Without You,
yeah.
tell me the story behind that.
Oh, how it came about?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. So we, yeah, we went on that like the bus
Right.
tour. We started off in Malibu, just like starting up small, embryos of songs, and just like they started like really growing up, so to say, in the tour bus between like LA and in Miami. We just wrote a bunch of songs, and just one night after we had been, we went to all these crazy national parks, and Tim had this crazy idea of making like an undercover, like live stream of us writing songs in Grand Canyon. He was such a visionary person, and like he didn't want to. He was like, "Oh, the fans, they will find it. Let's not promote it. No, that's just a sellout. Let's just do it for us and for the fans." And the
Mhm.
experience was just incredible, and we were so inspired. And uh, you know, after one of those things, I think we went on some sort of tram up into the mountains in Albuquerque. I don't know. It was just so crazy. Yeah, it was insane. And after one of those trips, like the live streams, we still had so much inspiration that we went into the tour bus and we decided to write more. And then we finished Without You in the back of the bus, while the while the bus driver was like, he was blasting AC/DC or something in the radio. It was multitasking on like a different level, because yeah, it was just so insane. And the day after we showed it, because we arrived in Austin, so we basically showed the song to Tim. And like how Tim was,
Yeah.
he was just so like, nothing was good enough at the first try. He was so great at not giving up on ideas and not
Just
settling for the first idea, right?
very intense.
So we were like standing like two schoolboys, like, "Hey man, what do you think about this
Right.
verse?" And we basically showed him like, "You said that we would always be." Like I was just saying it with Carl playing the guitar, and Carl having worked with like, you know, you name it, like
Yeah, I know.
Britney, everyone. Like he was still like super shy. Like we were felt so shy because we were like, "Okay, great master, what do you think about this?" And like he was just like, well, that's done. Like,
That's
I couldn't
perfect.
believe it, man. Like he had never said that, and we wrote like 5 songs, and every time it was like, let's tweak that melody. Sandro, can you sing that differently? Like,
Oh, he knew it right away. That's awesome.
yeah,
And it proved it, especially when it came out. Like, was huge.
Yeah, it really, yeah, it took off, like you were saying, like beyond my imagination. It was, yeah, it exceeded everything that I could have hoped for a song. I just knew that I loved it, and Tim loved it. And actually, this is so funny. Tim said when we wrote that, he was like, I get the same feeling from this, like in my in my heart, that
Huh?
he got from Wake Me Up. He
Oh,
used that
I
as a reference of the feeling of like knowing that the song would be good. So yeah,
yeah.
just so you know, it's
That's important because you put effort and time into great lyrics and a good melody as well. Now, when I did Wake Me Up, I think, he didn't critique any of my words.
mm,
He kept most of the melodies, but one of the things we ended up working really hard on was like the extra spicy melodies that we
okay,
did
yeah,
for the runs in the vocal
yeah,
production. So I just remember those moments being really intense of him just being very particular about which notes to try to hit, or some things to approximate when I was in
yeah.
this in the booth.
I think I saw that in the documentary,
Yeah, that's
right?
that's definitely you see.
That's in there, right?
I think that was an important piece of the documentary to show because a
You were
lot of folks
saying it. He was like conducting almost like, no, no, can you do that again? He was so specific,
we
right?
we did so many different runs, and I don't know if I knew what he was going to choose at the end, but
Yeah,
the ones that he chose are iconic. Like it took me a
yeah.
while. It took me a while to learn to do them, and so that I
Oh
could have
wow,
them
okay,
perfect
okay.
every time when I did them on stage. And now it's like muscle memory. But before,
And then
you know,
you must have made like a million then if you don't even remember the runs, or you're just really free vocally.
honestly, and it's not only that. I just have really poor melodic memory, so I'll do something, and I wouldn't remember what I did 5 seconds ago.
Yeah,
Um, but he knew it. He knew. He was like, "Nope, that's not what you did. Try
yeah.
it again."
But speaking of that, I think that Tim was just he was just the best at melodic memory, or
Just
like picking
melody
out,
in
yeah,
general.
melodies, like what he loved when he heard it. Like, oh, let's do that again. Like, can you do more of this? Can you? He was so specific, and I think you need to have that ability in order for you to be able to pick and like to pick up things like that, because he was so fast. Like his brain was always like on like some sort of hyperdrive, you know. it
Right. It
was it
was.
was so fast. Yeah.
Um, there are some other songs I want to ask you about. You also had a song with "Forever Yours" with Kygo.
Yeah.
Um, can you talk
Um,
about this one a little bit? This
yeah. So
you
I mean, Forever Yours was a song that actually the weirdest thing about that is that when it came out, like Tim played it at Ultra, right? So we wrote it, we finished our like a demo on the bus, and then he played it at Ultra. And the funny thing is that I was like, I was singing on 5 or 6 ideas at the time. Like he just threw a bunch of songs in my face and said like, can you sing on all of these? I was like, well, let's try. I was the only vocalist around.
hmm
And some of them he pitched up and pitched down, and just to make me sound like different, so it didn't sound like me, because he was like, oh, otherwise it's just gonna be weird if you're on every song on like my new releases. It's like, yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
like Forever Yours became an ID that like people really loved. But everyone thought, I mean, literally everybody asked like Tim, like, oh, he's gonna work with Aloe again. Like, so they really thought it was you.
oh wait, so
Yeah,
when he modified the voice.
yeah, they modified my voice. They toned me and they pitched me down a bit, and they were like, oh, they're gonna work together again. I was like, no, they're not. But I'm not gonna
Oh,
comment everything.
oh,
Like,
that's not
I was
fair.
like, sitting there, I was like, well, that's just a huge compliment for me. So,
Wow.
but that was funny. I just remember, and it was the same thing like with the Stories album. Like I came in very late on. I had a top line on a song called Sunset Jesus,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
everyone thought it was Gavin.
Well, he's on the songwriting.
He's on the songwriting, yes. But it's so hilarious, like, cause I was the final voice. I guess I kind of tried to sound similar because I just love the tone. Like I love Gavin DeGraw. God, great singer. But like Billboard, I mean, fact check.
Yeah,
No,
fact check it.
fact check. No, they were like, oh, and Gavin's voice, it's great. I'm like, so I've basically been every American great singer that I
Well,
know.
that's what's up. You're yeah, I guess you're in good company.
Yeah.
Um, maybe we can answer some questions from some of the
Yeah.
the folks that have been asking from on Twitch. There's Primer Primera Yoko 19. We would love to get some kind of statement about unreleased tracks, maybe some info if they're still on the roadmap. I don't. I can't imagine there's gonna. I don't have any control over what they're gonna end up releasing. The
Yeah.
record label and his family. So, but like you said, you recorded a lot and did a lot with Tim. So you're sitting on some unreleased things, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of songs. I think some of them weren't really like. There's one song that I didn't write. I think that maybe we'll move on with the original vocalist. Came on as a demo vocalist, but I kind of feel like I've had my share of tribute songs for a while at least. With Forever Yours being a tribute that goes to the family, like to the Tim Foundation. Because I think there's just like there's always gonna be that thing where it's, will I be satisfied with the result if it's not Tim producing? Will the fans be happy enough? Because I mean the demos are still demos, so I think it's a matter of if it's I don't know if it's possible to finish it. I'm not 100% closed, but I think it's really tough. It's such a tough thing because nobody can sound like Tim.
And think about it. We would only, if anybody was to do it, and especially in the way that the album Tim was put together, which was, very, very close to him passing. There's so much time that has gone on, right? So what would Tim sound like today?
Yeah.
I mean, the way that he was learning and growing, I don't even think we can imagine what it would be. We would only be able to like make it sound like what he did 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's so true.
And it's not really fair to the fans or to him.
I agree, and I think that like that was his gift, was that he was ahead of the curve. The production that he did for Wake Me Up was ahead of its time in terms of like pushing the envelope of the EDM stuff and the DJ stuff a lot. And I mean, that's what he was always trying to do, trying to create something new. And I think it's like creatively impossible to. You can't mimic, you can't emulate, you can't foresee like how that would sound, as you're saying. And I think so I think it's hard, but I love the songs. I really do love the songs. I was really proud of them when they, when we wrote them, and as with a lot of good songs. But it's just like sometimes maybe we just have to face the fact maybe that it's just like it might come out, but more likely it won't come out.
Yeah, I think it all depends on how it's presented, and
yeah, of course,
and how the story is told about what the songs were and what stage they were in. There's another person on Twitch, that one smarty, is asking, when did you last communicate with Tim?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Like in person, or when I
it could be an email or a text or.
Oh well, the text was I think it was a little bit before he started like wrapping up his the last album, but I kind of like before the what do you say, like the memorial, the concert, the tribute.
Tribute.
Stockholm. I try to channel some energy, and I kind of went out in the, there's a lot of forests here in Stockholm and like in Sweden. So I kind of went out to the forest, and I was just like, I don't know, I kind of like, there's, I don't know if it's like how people sometimes go to to the graveyard or whatever to talk
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
relatives, and I kind of tried to channel it, and I was kind of talking to Tim about how insane like everything has been since he passed,
Hmm.
and I think that's the last time like I communicated with him, so
Yeah,
to
for
say.
sure.
But I think about him all the time, so I think that's also some sort of communication. Like every day I'm reminded of Tim. Like it doesn't have to be because of the song, like because of the songs, or it's just like sometimes I just I just think about him, and I think
Yeah,
it's every day. Like it can be fans, or I can just walk around, and then it's like, oh,
I
so
feel
yeah.
you.
It's he's always around.
He is always around. I mean, there's just moments where um, it's very, very strange. Like I've lived in my house for 7, yeah, 7 years, going on 8 years. And when Tim passed, um, and we were putting together the song SOS, just a lot of different energies, different things I started feeling, and just got a sense that he was there. Like he was
Mm,
there guiding the process, guiding the project.
mm,
Um, Lights in my house that never flickered ever, right?
mhm,
Would flicker in the middle of an interview in the recording studio where we first met.
mm,
Nobody touching the doors, nobody moving because it was just like me and the camera crew. A door slams, and so I'm always feeling like, okay,
mm,
he's just, whether it's him or not, it's
mm,
definitely a reminder. Like his spirit and his energy is strong and powerful, and I could just be making these things to be like those are moments of Tim, but for me, I'd rather it be that way.
mm.
I'd rather believe that yes, his energy's here and he's present, and we can help keep his
Yeah,
legacy alive by
I mean,
continuing to
yeah. I
think of
mean,
him.
we're here 2 years after, and I mean, it feels like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's just like time has just passed so like it just stands still, and it's moving so fast at the same time because Tim is just like a constant person. And he has been that for like what 7 years of my life since the first time he like picked up my demo of that song of Gonna Love Ya, and I was like, oh wow, is this happening? What's happening? Am I not eating oatmeal every day anymore? How is this gonna affect my life?
Ah.
Yeah.
Anna Maria V3 asks, are there any funny stories that you remember from the songwriting process with Tim? And I can imagine being on tour across the country. Uh,
So many. Some of them involves like his dog at the time, Liam. Like that the whole tour was named after Prince Liam of the North.
Prince Liam.
Oh, they were naming the dog with the tour. So it's so funny. I mean, in Malibu, while we were writing music upstairs, he took some serious, like, okay, he was a puppy. So he took some serious, like, he relieved himself, or how do you say, like,
Mm.
on very expensive carpets downstairs. And we're talking, like, what, 10 grand a piece? And, like, the funny thing was also that Tim went downstairs, and when he saw it, he was just laughing. It was like, first, he was like, oh my God. But then it was just like, oh, he's so cute. That zebra carpet, expensive leopard, genuine leather,
Oh,
whatever. That was just one of the things. I mean, there's so many. Like it was just there was just like, but there was.
did Tim ever write lyrics with you?
Oh, he did. He did. I think he got more into it like eventually, like he was getting more involved with the songwriting process all the time. From what I have understood, like at first he was just like the producer guy, you know what I mean? And like the first couple of years that he was working. And then like when we met up, he was such a great lyricist because he was trying to pick out things that stood out.
Mhm.
So he was complementing the songwriting process, even though like, you know, you could write like maybe 50% of a verse, and then he would come in and like tweak some stuff that was really generic. He would be like, oh, that's just too generic. He was really picking that way.
Right. There's a question about Promises of Tears.
Promises of
Do you know
Tears.
this song?
Oh my God, I don't know, man. Maybe that was just one of the songs that we came up with on the spot. Like, because we wrote like probably 10 songs on that bus tour, and people keep sending some of them, and I honestly don't remember, man.
Yeah.
And they also like I love how people who looked at the live stream has like given songs a different name. We had a working name for some things, so I actually don't know what song that is.
Okay, so you had working names, but sometimes, you know, people will hear them because he played things out. Like there's songs that we didn't release that he played out, and somehow people have them, and now they're on the internet.
Yeah.
That happened for you?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot
I
of them.
guess that consider that the release. You know, like
Yeah.
if Tim was open enough to share it in a live performance, and he knew that somebody is going to be recording it, or it might get out, then consider that the release, I guess.
That's true.
You know, and you know, not all the tracks that are out there that people say were Tim songs are Tim songs, and some aren't.
True.
But then some are. So I guess
Yeah.
happy hunting, fans. You'll
find
to ask.
But I have to say one thing, that the coolest memory, well, one of the cooler memories of writing with Tim was when we were sitting in the studio, and he was like, we wrote a song in like, let's say C major, okay, and like at the end of this, like of writing the verse and the chorus, when we came to that part of the progress, he was just like clicking a folder full of like hundreds and hundreds of finished drops, like unbelievable melodies, just sitting on his computer, like
these are things that he created and he had in storage.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sitting here with Mozart, because he was playing, like he was just like previewing, you know, like you could do like you do on your computer, like you don't even open iTunes, just listen to it. He's like, that one is not that great. Then went down to, and he was like, oh, I think this one would work. And then he had it in the right key, kind of the right tempo. I don't think he stretched it much. He was just dragged and dropped. And then he was like, oh, that's that works.
Oh, I didn't know that. So when I was with him, I saw him building, just building melodies like from scratch. But that, this is how I work. This is how I work. When I walked into Wake Me Up session, I have the same kind of thing. I have a file full of lyrics, different ideas, sometimes just 2 lines at a time. And I walked in with these like 4 lines. Wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older, was one thing, separate from all this time I was finding myself, didn't know I was lost, and put them together, and it worked. It's same. I think, you know, be prepared basically, and he was always
in that case he was over prepared, because I think that's really the treasure for me, was just like all these drops are the best I've heard. It was so Tim, like all of them were like, you could really hear, like it was a fingerprint. Like nobody wrote melodies like Tim did in terms of drops and stuff. And I think it was just incredible that he just thought of them like, oh, that's just another one.
That's just another.
I'm just gonna put it away until later when I write like when I write something, and I can just, oh, this came in handy, you know.
He was an incredible, bright spirit, and an incredible musician and artist, and you know, I'm better for having had the experience, and I'm sure, as you say, you are as well. Well, thank you for joining me in this tribute to Tim. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, man. And I have to say, like, you are a great host, man. You're a really good host.
Bro, I mean, it's I think it's just important we gather at least once a year to
Yeah,
show some respect for such an amazing person. Thank
so
you.
true, man. Thank you.